Hello, everybody. Brian Engelman here at the 2016 RNC Convention in the City of Champions, Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you, LeBron James and the Cavaliers, by the way. I'm pleased to be joined once again with Michael Steele, former head of the RNC. How are you doing again?
Oh, great. Now, that wasn't partisan at all, was it? No.
Yeah, that's called pandering, my man.
Congratulations. No, I'm great.
Are you a basketball fan? Are you a sports fan?
I am a sports fan in general. I'm Washington Redskins. I got to go there. And, of course, Baltimore Ravens, too, since I'm sandwiched in between. I know.
This guy.
I know, but that's all good. That's all good.
Oh, my heart. Be still, my heart. I'm coming home.
I'm coming home.
Okay. Oh, okay, I was going to do this backwards, but now you brought up Baltimore. By the way, are you going to be running for office again? Because I'm hearing these rumors.
Oh, my God. It's just a conversation I had. Look, I love public service. I think it's an important opportunity that you can have with the community you live in. We're going to take a look at what's down the road. There's a Senate race coming up in Maryland. Very much support Governor Hogan's reelection. So I think the combination of that opportunity may be something to look at. We'll see. We take this one step at a time. We got to get a president elected first. So
that's true. Okay. So we'll get to the president in a second. But being involved in those campaign runs, what's the favorite thing you've enjoyed about not being a part of it?
Wow.
Being in the private sector, working with the MSNBC and whatnot.
That's, I think probably right now is just that, being in a position to have a national conversation around some important issues. Look, I've not been known as someone who talks in talking points. I just don't. I try to keep it honest, real. I try to learn and listen from people that I encounter across the way, like you.
Indeed.
And being able to sort of, in one sense, parrot that back to sort of reflect the attitude of the times and where people are, which has been a big part of this last year for me, and sort of helping people appreciate, in some sense, what I interpret from what Donald Trump means and what he's saying and how that plays out. So that for me has been kind of cool, to be able to be in that space and not sit there and worry about, okay, I got to now do a press release because I just said something, to explain it.
Look to the Donald to teach you how to get your foot out of your mouth.
Well, there is a lesson there. You just ignore it. Act like it didn't happen. Or just say, well, it may have happened, but I don't care. It's a very different thing. But yeah, I do appreciate that side of it, where you can actually engage people in a conversation, take some real learning from it, and then share that in the next conversation you have. Television allows you to do that. Radio especially allows you to do that. And so it's been good that way.
So being a being a Republican, working, as a lot of people say, behind enemy lines at MSNBC, what's that like for you on a day-to-day? Morning Joe, he's had his experiences on the party, but
man, it's cool. I mean, look at it. I get to go in and plant my GOP flag in the middle of that big old Democratic bastion, that liberal media, that lamestream media, all that.
Dinosaur media,
yeah. But the fun part is I get to go in, and these folks are my colleagues and my friends in many cases, and I enjoy that, the back and forth, the give and take. And given the way MSNBC has changed its emphasis, shifting, to more news orientation and sort of putting that first, for someone like me who's an analyst, now I can actually get into the meat of a conversation, because I don't have to go in, put the flak jacket, and worry about the political, I'm outnumbered 3-1, here we go.
The firing squad. Was that like the Ed Schultz, like maybe a year and a half? What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, and that's fine. Al Sharpton and I used to mix it up a lot and stuff like that. And that was fine, because that was about knuckleball politics. But now I love the sophistication that that the networks really seems to be playing with and doing very well with. When you have a Chris Hayes or Rachel Maddow, which is you got to do your homework when you sit down with her. You don't just show up and start talking. So from that standpoint, I just think it creates something fresh for an audience. And so I know a lot of the audience is largely liberal. I'm not. I'm a conservative, and I like to sort of bring that flavor, saying, okay, so this is how this conservative is looking at this problem. Right. I don't speak for all conservatives, never have, never will, but I can at least speak from my perspective, my learning and share, this is my value system, this is how I would solve that issue, this is why I think what you just said is crazy.
Right.
And
There's got to be a lot of that, I'd imagine.
sometimes, yeah. And I think people respect that. They kind of go, okay, I can listen to that because you're not calling me a liar. You're not telling me I'm wrong. You're not judging me. You're listening, and you may not be accepting everything I'm saying, but at least we can begin the conversation.
Well, now, let's shift to the presidential election, because wasn't that the main thrust of, hey, let's get Kasich in here? Wow, look, he won Ohio. That's it. I mean, honestly, I have 25 years in Ohio. I'm local here. I've been in LA for 11, but he got one state. But, he's the only adult on the stage. What do you make about the tone that you've seen going through the primary process, ultimately ending up with Donald Trump? Just the whole ride.
Donald Trump set the tone from the beginning. Absolutely. From the moment he came down the escalator, he set the tone. And what I have found fascinating, and what they will be teaching in civic and political science classes for a generation, will be what happened from that moment forward. How did this man who walked down that escalator with 1% support wind up with the nomination 12 months later?
And a bunch of punchlines in between. Some of them very damaging to the party, to his candidacy, and yet here we are. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was able to tap into a vein in the culture, in the current of every community, whether you're like him, don't, for him, against, that got you up off onto your feet to go, what the hell? What? Oh, he said what? Or now finally someone is speaking the truth. That's the dynamic of this election, summed up in a nutshell. And I don't know what it means yet. I don't pretend to know what it means yet. I don't have any idea what it means for this November. What I do know is that if I'm Hillary Clinton, I get smart about that. Because come Wednesday, November 9th, she could be getting on a plane heading back to New York instead of staying in Washington and putting her hand on a Bible. So that's what I find fascinating right now. The country is slowly taking control of the political process. The folks who run and control that process don't like that. No.
And so you saw the resistance with Bernie Sanders. You see the resistance even at this convention towards Donald Trump.
Okay. So, well, let me jump in there, because we saw Colorado, and I was on a radio show yesterday or the day before, and they're asking, what about Colorado? And I'm like, well, I've been wandering around the convention. I haven't been up to. What did you see in Colorado? What have you seen with these proposed changes? Is this just the last dying gasp?
It was. Look, the Rules Committee met the week before. They didn't muster, or were able to muster, the 28 votes they needed to take the proposal to allow the stream of conscious, or whatever you want to call it, vote to go to the floor of the full convention. So that was in the nutshell, the reality point. You didn't have the votes. So when you get to the floor, and the chair recognizes, the call of the question to vote on the rules as proposed. And you saw the whole, all in favor, aye, all opposed, no, the ayes have it, because that's what the chair heard. And everybody went, no. Point of order. They evacuate the chair. They leave the chair.
See, this is all the inside baseball stuff that you're going to get from a former head of the RNC.
Yeah.
All of the Robert's Rules of Order that you could imagine.
It was cool as hell. It was. It's like, wow, okay, let's play this out,
Right. Because I was hoping for a contested convention. Chaos.
Well, that was it right there.
And it was a whimper.
Not even. It was more like a wimp. That's it. It was like a...
So basically the Trump train has left the building. It's a done deal, and now it's just to...
He's the nominee. Tomorrow he's going to give a great speech, and that's it. Right? Ta-da.
Pretty much. Well, let's swing over to Hillary Clinton. Somehow she got past Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that 60 to 85% of the people I know that are on the left wing, all supporting Bernie. I know very few people actually supporting Hillary. Let's not say that's rigged and just move along to Hillary versus Donald. How do you see that playing out? Because for me, I'll say this, Michael. What difference at this point does it make? Now, I see Donald Trump getting under her skin in a way, like I'm going to see the smoke out of her ears.
The point is huge.
The point is huge. I mean, how do you, now, like you said, you're not prognosticating how significant this is, but, I mean, are you like me? Could you see Donald Trump as the only person that could get underneath Hillary Clinton's skin and get her to self-implode in this candidacy?
Yes, he's already done it.
In what way?
He did it earlier this year. Remember when they started to go after Donald Trump, both she and Bill, on the whole the number of wives and the women thing?
Oh, yeah. The Clintons have a pristine record with women.
And so what did Donald Trump do? He released one what was it? Tweet. One tweet. No, it's late. One twit.
Where's the beer? Where's the beer?
I actually probably had way too many before we did this.
Same here.
He released one tweet and one Instagram and shut that shit down. I was like, damn, that's power.
I mean, I would see someone...
Shut it down. You remember? After that, reporters going up to Bill Clinton. So, Mr. Clinton, what about Donald Trump and his... Well, we're just not going to discuss that now.
What about Juanita Broderick?
Yeah. Right.
Poverty or racism.
Pretty name. But that's the point. And I go back to what I said before, that if Hillary Clinton thinks that this is going to be a runaway election, and she thinks that because Donald Trump is sitting at 67% negatives... Sister, you're at 55, all right, so we can be clear.
Yeah.
Excuse me. She will then pretty much hand him this election, because that's not the reality. The reality is you cannot conflate or equate likability with electability.
Okay, hold on. Electability with... Likability with electability.
In other words,
expand on that.
Well, in other words, typically in these elections, they're kind of beauty contests. I mean, presidential elections, like, who do you like? Who do you really like? What about, George W. Bush? What do people say? I could have a beer with him. I really like him. All right? So, but what about the fact that he wants to send troops off to war? Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that over the beer. So that's likability. Electability is when someone has a stature, a presence, a way about them, a policy of something that you think is important, and say, yeah, we can elect this guy or this gal to office. Most times they kind of go together. If I like you, I'll vote for you. In this race, likability and electability are not the same. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean I won't vote for them. Doesn't mean they're not electable. Because in this case, both of them are unlikable.
I've heard more never Trump / never Hillary and more Gary Johnson this election than. And by the way, last time you and I talked, we talked about Ron Paul getting railroaded. If you remember, at Politicon.
And that was revisited this past Monday in that episode on the vote on the rules.
Well, and I think Bernie Sanders people are feeling really disenfranchised at this point.
Oh, they are, absolutely, and they should be, because the system is designed to keep outsiders out, keep the influence of third-party operations, whether it's the Libertarian Party or the Green Party, both of which will likely be in all ballots in 50 states this fall, from really fully participating in the process. So here we are. And young voters, millennials in particular, are sitting there going, wait a minute, this is kind of messed up, because I really like him, but you're telling me that because she started out the campaign with 465 delegates. What you call them again? Superdelegates? But we haven't had a vote yet. How did that happen? So as these folks come into this process, what Bernie and Donald Trump have done is expose the process.
The system is rigged and whatnot. Can I ask you about the process with superdelegates? Was that ever a consideration for the Republican Party? Did you have any behind-the-scenes conversations about superdelegates? Because I was wondering, why are the dirty Democrats doing it, but not the Republicans?
They did it. They did that in the 1980s too, because
What were we getting back to?
Jesse.
Hey now.
Jesse.
I got another.
Jesse is a progressive. He was a progressive back in that time, a very liberal Democrat, and so they didn't want guys like Jesse, Howard Dean, to sort of come in and upset the apple cart. So the superdelegates allowed them to sort of fix the plate before you served it. All right. So here, the peas, you got to eat them. They're already on the plate. Eat your peas.
Yay, veggies. Well, and Donald Trump was calling out the Republicans from day one, saying the system is rigged, and I'm not going to endorse. Well, if I'm treated fairly, I'll endorse. And then look at who has this crying over the spilled milk right now. What are your thoughts on Governor Kasich not really being perhaps as vocal as maybe he should be? Some are saying
it's disappointing, but look, I understand where the governor is. Governor Kasich, I think, made a valiant argument. In fact, he was the one candidate that I kept pointing to in this primary and say, look at him, look at him.
The adult in the room.
And no one looked that way. And when they did, it was like, where? Because we had so diminished him in the way the press presented him in his case to the American people, that when they looked that way, he's like down here, and they're just looking up like, well, I don't see him. And that was the unfortunate part of it, because I thought he brought some real value to the conversation. I mean, his moments in town halls are just priceless moments of a politician just kind of opening up and exposing himself, and having a real genuine moment with someone who's in pain, or who has a concern. And that element, I would rather that be the element that's driving this political cycle than I hate you, you hate me, that kind of tension that we seem to be experiencing right now. But here we are, and we're largely here because that's where the American people, well, at least those who voted, want us to be.
What percentage was that this year?
Very small.
Par for the course compared to the past.
Yeah. I mean, in the GOP, clearly there were more who participated than we've seen in the past.
Wasn't it? It was the most
votes cast for a nominee in the history of the party.
But still a small percentage, all things considered.
So when you consider well over 100 million potential voters.
Right.
So, that's where we are. We've got to really reconcile this sort of rift in our politics. We got to reconcile the rift between people and partisans, and I think if we look at this thing, and this won't be this election, so don't get all dreamy-eyed on me here.
But I want to be dreamy-eyed. Why do you think I want to talk to you again, Michael?
This is not that election. But in some future election, after we go through what I think will be a relatively painful experience for voters, okay, mark the date and time on the tape, okay? I think people will go, okay, we can't do that again. No more of that. And then we'll see how we begin to reconcile it going forward.
So have you officially endorsed the party candidate? Where are you at personally?
Look, I'm going to do everything I can to help the nominee of the party become a better candidate. My view of it, as look at it this way, and you may be able to identify with what I'm about to say, it's like having a badass football team.
Wait, stop. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. You already established you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. Are we really going to go there? Are we going to talk Ray Rice? Seriously, Michael Steele, do we really have to do this right now? Please continue.
Okay, so
let's talk Buckeyes, Ohio State Buckeyes. They're a badass football team.
I repeat, it's like having a badass football team.
Yeah, look, if you don't know what happened between the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, look it up. Google it. I'm sorry. Please continue your point.
Use the Google. So it's like having a badass football team, yet your quarterback is a little bit... What do? Do you, toss the quarterback?
You're asking a Cleveland Browns fan. We've had like 35 quarterbacks in the past 11 years. We drafted Johnny Manziel in the first round. Do we really have to go there with Joe Flacco? Anyway, please continue. Oh, for the love of God.
So, do you toss the quarterback or do you play up? Do you play him up? In other words, you get everyone to play up around him to better his game. So, yeah. He can't throw the long ball, but you got some damn good-ass receivers who can do that short route, and he can toss it to them, all right?
Wait, didn't Trent Dilfer win who was your quarterback when you won the Super Bowl? Who was that got you?
Which, the last Super Bowl?
Yeah. Well, not Flacco, before Flacco. Was that Trent Dilfer? Timmy, help me out. Trent Dilfer? Yeah, Trent Dilfer. He was a moderate, he was a pedestrian quarterback at best, but your defense was incredible.
There you go.
And
you played him up. You played him up.
Okay, so I totally get this analogy.
All right, so for the Cleveland Browns this year, having now acquired RG3, you'll get to play him up.
Washington guy bringing up RG3. We'll see about the rookie Cody Kessler out of USC, but I digress. I'm telling you, the factory of sadness has made us quite miserable over here, although LeBron and the Cavs made that a little easier. But
I have to give you props. In my household, everybody was swinging the other way, but I was like, go LB, baby. I liked it. No, it was good. I have to give you guys, and this is a lot like politics, and it's a lot like this race. What were the Cavs at one point? They were down what?
Oh, down 1-3, backs up against the wall. LeBron in the press conference saying, hey, we got to play better or else they're going to be back-to-back champions.
Damn, you just laid out the fall election for me, baby. That's it right there.
And so it's you're saying you're taking it upon your shoulders in whatever capacity available, whatever capacity you're asked.
A better presidential candidate. I'm not
I'm
LeBron James, but I got some moves.
So what areas does he need to polish? I mean,
communication. You would think the guy who's supposedly good at communication could communicate better. We need to work on that. You just can't go around telling people they're racists and rapists and all that stuff. So
take it easy a little bit.
Bring it down. No,
all right.
No one wants to hear that. We got it. It's established. All right. We get it. The wall. Yeah. Okay. Understood. But as you come to find out, people want a little something more.
Show me the vision forward, not just what's wrong with what's today.
Use the right word, because it's not that they want a 20-page or a 20-point plan. Okay, show me how you're going to get us there. Give me some sense. And so that's what I think he has to do this week in order as we head out of the convention. So
did the Melania thing throw back his? It didn't help.
Didn't help, I
mean, because he says, I hire the smartest people. I do, and that was a big failure that nobody caught that.
Yeah, getting a ballerina to write the speech is not the brightest thing in the world to do, but okay, we understand it. Look, the fact of the matter is they finally got a capstone on that. Hopefully that won't be, on page 1 tomorrow.
It's going to be gone in 3 days. I mean, the amount of times Obama's plagiarized. I mean, you see the video. That's the beautiful thing about the internet. Lies don't last long when you can instantly send them that message, and it's 4 times in a row Obama read line for line somebody else's stuff. You go, well, where's the selective outrage here?
Governor Duvall's speech. First words. I think right now we're at a space coming out of this convention that there's more upside than downside potentially. But like my football analogy, I think the goal of the party at this convention coming out of here is to play him up, to give him the support. That's why when I look at, the governor and others who stayed away, it's disappointing. I totally get it, guys. I totally get it. I'm there with you. But my head keeps going, yeah, but there's something bigger here. And that something bigger for me is the idea that Hillary Clinton could be president. Not that she's not qualified, not that she's not capable, but that I just think her policy prescriptions are not what the country needs right now. And so I want to have that debate. I want to have that conversation around those ideas that she's espousing, which are largely Bernie Sanders. We know that.
Well, Bernie pushed her.
And that's fine. Yeah. But this is the space, the cake that they've baked. And so now, some of y'all may want to eat it. That's good. I'd rather pass on that serving and go to my guy and say, look, let's bake a better cake. Let's do this a little bit better. Let's play the game smarter. Let's be as aggressive and get in the game and share with people the word you use, which is the most important, vision. All right?
Well, then, for the never Trump people, your final word to the never Trump people, because there's a lot of them in my inner circle right now. They've already said never Trump. Is there any bringing those people back from the brink?
I don't know if it is, but all I have to say to you is just get off your ass and go vote this November.
For something, for someone. Tell us where people stay in touch with you when you run for your next presidential office, perhaps.
Please. Look, you can catch me on Twitter, at Twitter. I'm actually kind of, I'm not a big tweeter because I don't know why people are so interested in what I'm doing at any given moment.
They're bite-sized press releases is essentially how I view it.
I like that. So maybe if I look at it that way, I'll do more. I mean, I tweet a lot, but follow me at Twitter. Listen, again, I need the drink. Follow me at Michael Steele. You can hit my website, steeleforum.com. We try to put some good stuff up there. And Facebook, I'm there. Hi, Face. And what else?
Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah. Instagram is Chairman_Steele. I actually believe I know all this stuff.
I'm pretty impressed.
Thank you. So, look, I'm out there. You Google the name, you get all kinds of crap. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be scared by it. But I guess the last word is look, this is an important election. And if you're anywhere between the ages of 18 and 35, get off your ass and participate. Don't take any aspect of it for granted. I don't care ultimately how you vote, although I like you to vote for Donald Trump because I think I don't want Hillary. But I've said that. I'm honest about that. Yeah. But you go where you need to go and do what you need to do as long as you do it because, you're invested already just by being born.
I heard
I was going to say the Constitution has endowed you, all right? And so now you're at that time in your life where you got to participate. There's nothing that bad in politics that requires you to stay home.
I heard the phrase, activism is the rent that we pay to live on planet Earth.
Amen.
So and Plato said, indifference to public affairs is giving a sanction to being ruled by inferior men.
Damn, he's quoting Plato. That's
I'm just saying. Hey,
because I was about to break down on some P. Diddy, so that's all right.
Well, Michael Steele, should you run for another office, I wish you the best. Should you stay on MSNBC for another 35 years, I wish you for the best.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, 35 years, baby.
Well, to be continued till our next chat, good sir. Thanks again for your time.